गुरु चित गुरु चित घन गुरु चिन्मय गुरु हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो नारायणाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते रामचंद्राय आंजनेय 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 पाहि मां हनुमन्त 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 रक्ष मां दत्तात्रेय 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 पाहि मां दत्तगुरु 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 रक्ष मां शंकराचार्य 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 पाहि मां भगवत्पाद 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 रक्ष मां सद्गुरुदेव 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 पाहि मां शिवानन्द 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 रक्ष मां सद्गुरुदेव 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 पाहि मां चिदानन्द 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 रक्ष मां शिवानन्द 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 पाहि मां चिदानन्द 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 रक्ष मां गंगाराय 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 पाहि मां भागीरथी 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 रक्ष मां ओम शक्ति पाहि मां ब्रह्म शक्ति विष्णु शक्ति शिव शक्ति रक्ष मां ओम आदिशक्ति महाशक्ति पराशक्ति पाहि मां इच्छा शक्ति क्रिया शक्ति ज्ञान शक्ति रक्ष मां राजराजेश्वरी 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 पाहि मां त्रिपुरा सुंदरी त्रिपुरा सुंदरी त्रिपुरा सुंदरी रक्ष मां ओम तत्सत् ओम तत्सत् ओम तत्सत् ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम गजाननभूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्ष मङ्गलाय तनो हरिः ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं गुणातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलं गुरुर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरुपदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरुर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुर्कृपा। ॐ नमः शिवानन्दाय गुरवे सच्चिदानन्दमूर्तये निष्प्रपञ्चाय शान्ताय निरालम्बाय तेजस्वी। अन्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष महेश्वर। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरिः ॐ। श्री सूक्तम। हिरण्यवर्णां हरिणीं सुवर्णरजतस्रजां चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदोमहावह तामहावह जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं विन्देयं गामशं पुरुषानहम् अश्वपूर्वारथमध्याहस्तेनातः प्रबोधिनीं श्रियं देवीमुपमोहे श्रीमां देवीर्युषताम् कां स्वस्मितां हिरण्यप्राकारां मात्रां ज्वलन्तीं तृप्तां तर्पयन्तीं पद्मे स्थितां पद्मवर्णां तामिह पौये श्रियम् चन्द्रां प्रभासां यशसा ज्वलन्तीं श्रियं लोके देवदृष्टामुदारां तां पद्मिनीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये लक्ष्मीर्मेण सतां त्वां गुणे आदित्यवर्णे तपसोऽधिजातो वनस्पतिस्तव पुष्पोऽथबिल्वः तस्य फलानि तपसानुदन्तो मायान्तरायाश्च बाह्या लक्ष्मीः उपेतु मां देवसखः कीर्तिश्च मणिना सह प्रादुर्भूतोऽस्मि राष्ट्रेऽस्मिन् कीर्तिं वृद्धिं ददातु मे क्षुत्पिपासामलां ज्येष्ठामलक्ष्मीं नाशयाम्यहम् अभूदेव समृद्धिं च सर्वामिर्मद मे गृहाति गन्धद्वारां दुराधर्षामित्यपृष्टां करिष्यिणीम् ईश्वरीं सर्वभूतानां तामिह पवयस्यम् मनसा काममाकुतिं वाचा सत्यमसीमहि पशूना रूपमन्नस्य मयि श्रेयसयतां यशः कर्दमेन प्रजाभूता मयि सम्भव कर्दम श्रियं वासय मे कुले मातरं पद्ममालिनीम् आवासुजन्तु सिद्धानि चिक्लितावसमे गृहे निजदेवी मातरं श्रियं वासय मे कुले आर्द्रां पुष्करिणीं पुष्टे सुवर्णां हेममालिनीं शूल्यां हिरण्मयीलक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः आर्द्राण्यकरिणीं यष्टिं पिङ्गलां पद्ममालिनीं चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीलक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः तामहावः जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं प्रभूतं गावो दास्मस्वान् विन्देयं पुरुषानहम् ॐ महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मीः प्रचोदयात् हरिः ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। अस्य श्री शनिश्चरस्तोत्रस्य दशरथऋषिः शनिश्चरो देवता त्रिष्टुप्छन्दः शनिश्चरभृत्यार्थे जपे विनियोगः दशरथ उवाच कोरुद्रयमुत भव्य कृष्णशनि पिङ्गलमन्दसौनिः नित्यं स्मृतो हरते च पीडां तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय सुरासुराः किं पुरुषोरगेन्द्रा गन्धर्वविद्याधरपन्नगाश्च पीड्यन्ति सर्वे विषमस्थितेन तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय नरानरेन्द्रः पशवः मृगेन्द्रः वन्याश्च ये कीटपतङ्गभृङ्गाः पीड्यन्ति सर्वे विषमस्थितेन तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय देशाश्च दुर्गाणि वनानि यत्र सेनानि वेशाः पुरपत्तनानि पीड्यन्ति सर्वे विषमस्थितेन तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय तिल्यव्यवेर्मासगुढानदाने लोभेन नीलाम्बरदानतो वा क्रीडान्ति मन्त्रे बीजवासरे च तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय प्रयागकूले यमुनातटे च सरस्वती पुण्यजले गुहायाम् यो योगिनां ध्यानगतोऽपि सूक्ष्मस्तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय अन्यप्रदेशासु गृहं प्रविष्टस्तदीयभारे स नरः सुखी स्यात् गृहाद्गतो यो नः पुनः प्रयाति तस्मै नमः श्रीरविनन्दनाय स्रष्टा स्वयं भूर्भुवनत्रयस्य त्राता हरिस्व हरते पिनाकी एकस्त्रिधार्जतुसाममूर्तिस्तस्मै नमस्ते रविनन्दनाय सन्न्यस्तकं यः प्रयतः प्रभाते नित्यं सुपुत्रैः पशुबान्धवैश्च पठेतु सख्यं भुवि भोगयुक्तः प्राप्नोति निर्वाणपदं तदन्ते पूर्णस्थः पिङ्गलो बभ्रो कृष्णरौद्रं च कल्यमः शौरिः शनिश्चरो मन्दः पिप्पलादेन संस्तुतः एतानि दशनामानि प्रातरुत्थाय यः पठेति शनिश्चरकृतपीडा न कदाचित् भविष्यति हरिः ॐ
Good evening and Hari Om to all of you tonight. Welcome to our evening Satsang. And we're having live Satsang tonight. I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Dominique Cassidy. Dominique is in Greece right now, and she is in 1 week quarantine as she awaits to serve Doctors Without Borders. So she's speaking to us in Greece in quarantine. And on the 31st, she'll be flying to a Greek island where she will be working with people who have been tortured. So she is very thankful for this retreat in order to prepare for quite an intense period when she is going to be working with these people who have suffered so greatly. So I just want to, since many of you may not know Dr. Dominique, I had mentioned in the orientation meeting that we're really happy to invite her to the retreat, because not only is she part of our Shivananda family and has a in-depth understanding of yoga and Vedanta, but also she has an in-depth understanding of Buddhism, and she is a psychiatrist. So she has quite a unique way that she can share with us how to transcend these challenges and suffering in life through a spiritual vision. So before I welcome Dominique, I also wanted to mention that, again, if you have any questions for Dominique or any more questions for myself, then we will be very happy to meet with people on a very informal basis tomorrow in the 3 to 4 o'clock discussion. So please keep that in mind and send any questions you have within the next 12 hours. Thank you very much and welcome. Very happy to welcome you, Dominique. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om. Thank you so much, Swamiji. Thank you for inviting me to the retreat and to share. It's such a blessing to be at this retreat, huh?
Yes.
Incredible. I think we all are very much touched on so many different levels, but there's something very, very beautiful and very powerful happening during those last days of retreat. So I'm very thankful to just be participating in it. And also wanted to thank all the swamis of the ashram to make this possible as well. And also a thank you to the invisible bees. There's a crowd of magicians in the background that we never see, we never hear them, but they're making sure everything works, and they're incredibly efficient and working all time. And so just wanted to acknowledge that, thank you guys. So Is it? Something changed? Is it still working? Okay. Somehow my screen started to move. Right. So a retreat like that is essential at any time, but especially at a time like that, because at a time like the one we're experiencing, there's even more clearly an undeniable need to be in touch with the deepest and most authentic part of ourselves. And I think this is why we're all here today. Yesterday, Swamiji, you spoke about how it is so important to be in touch with those truths that have been shared by all the saints and the scriptures, actually in all traditions, and the truth being that we are all divine, that this moment is divine, and that there's nothing else than the divine. And how we keep actually not trusting it, not having faith in it, how we need to reaffirm it over and over and over. And how, and this is where I thought I would invite us to explore tonight, and how we actually also need to remember it, because we are so distractible. So even if we know those truths, even if we have faith in them, we do forget. We simply forget about them because we become distracted, highly distracted by what's happening in the world, actually highly distracted by the belief there is a world out there, and also highly distracted by the content of our mind. And this morning, Swamiji, you were referring to this attachment we have to our own past, our own story, and how we actually have a huge attachment to our own traumas. This is me continuing now. We actually have a huge attachment to our own life's event or traumas or difficulties, the things we are hanging on. And all of those things create kind of a field of hyper distractibility. We seem to always get involved, and we need to kind of force ourselves to release those distractions so that we can remember those truths and activate the faith that then bring us to the seeing an authentic experience of the divinity that we in essence are. So I thought we could explore a little bit more about this distractibility and maybe go into a meditation to explore better how to become a bit more free, or first to become more conscious and more free of those. And there's actually a saying in Tibetan Buddhism that I think is very, very useful for that topic. And it speaks of transforming poisons into Buddhas. So transforming what we believe is being destructive, poisonous, bad, transforming that to become a vector of truth, actually, a medicine towards awakening. And so I thought we could explore that with what distracts us the most, which is our own mind, relating specifically to part of ourselves that we have a hard time to let go of. So you'll all agree, if we are in a nice place, like if we are at the ashram, or if we are in a beautiful location, surrounded by nice people, and we're feeling fine, and then we need to meditate, then it's fairly easy to let go of the mind. The surrounding is helping, and then at that time we feel so good, and we just get the sunlight on the face, and it's just like, oh, it's so easy. But at other moments, it can be, it is suddenly all those deeper part of our ego, of our personality, can activate, and then it becomes extremely hard actually to let go. So we all have what I will use the word tonight, Velcro thoughts. It's not from it, from an American spiritual teacher, but I think it speaks really well. We have Velcro thoughts. So thoughts that, Velcro, you put two parts together and they glue, and then you have to take it away. So we have thoughts like that in our mind, thoughts that as soon as they come, our attention gets velcroed to it. We get attached to it. Suddenly it's like, oh, peace, beauty, divine. Oh, I'm not good enough. You know, those type of thoughts that we all have, and they're usually you know those thoughts. We all have a little a nasty bug inside our minds that says things that we don't like. It's not so nice, and it always says the same thing. Those thoughts, they're automatic. We call it like that in psychiatry, automatic thinking. That is to say that they always say the same thing. They're rambling over and over about the same problems. And there's no solution there. It just keeps saying the same thing. And we are used to very much get connected to them. And they're Velcro, they become really important. And we forget then everything else. I mean, do you have those thoughts, or is it just me? I've seen some people moving a little bit, so I'm assuming I'm not the only one. So this habit of the mind that we have to be distracted, very much distracting. We have those thoughts, we have those emotions, and the problem is that we have been learning in our culture to be highly distractible. What I mean to say is that because everything is speeding up so quickly with first the internet and then the social medias and then the speed out of which all of the technology is going, we're being trained to be highly distractible, right? It's in our culture. And then what's not helping is that the whole culture also is accelerating. We're noticing an increase of speed of change in culture where, 2 years is already a long time ago, and everything is changing so fast. So this is increasing this sense of hyper activity at the level of the mind. And then now with the pandemic, there is a even higher intensity of human mind agitation. And I'm sure you've all experienced it. Like, for example, if you look too much at the news, or if you start speaking too much about the COVID situation, there's an intensity, something that vibrates, and it becomes extremely unsettling, very much active, not in a nice way, very, very, very rajasic. And because this is a pandemic, because this is a worldwide event, and because there is only one mind, your mind, my mind, even if we're not ourselves in a crisis right now, which I hope none of you is, but even if we're not, haven't lost someone we love, if we're not sick, if we're not in financial despair, even if we're kind of we're annoyed by what's happening, but we're not in a big crisis, even then, there's going to be an agitation of the mind, a hyper vibration of our mind. And actually, you might have noticed in yourself or in people around you, I've certainly noticed it with my patients, that we tend to get much more fragile emotionally. So it's faster to get in an argument, it's faster to feel frustrated, it's faster to feel hopeless. It's very quick to be disbalanced at the level of the mind. And the hypothesis is because we are in this gigantic human unified consciousness that is right now vibrating at a very, very high frequency. So the context right now is actually increasing this natural tendency and this cultural tendency to be distractible. And so even more than at any time, it is absolutely essential to meditate, to do any type of spiritual practice that allows us to clarify the inner space, to clarify the mind, so that we can reconnect first to peace, and then to that peace being our essential nature. So those Velcro thoughts, those thoughts that kind of drag our attentions, I thought we could very actively together explore really how to change our relationship with them, and how to, in meditation, discover a very different way to relate to them. First, I'll explain a little bit different visions for that, and then we'll go into a meditation practice. A meditation practice is such an incredible place to actually taste the teachings in a very direct way. So we'll explore that. So the first thing is that during the meditation, I will invite you to actually go look for something that's bothering you. I know it's not very cool, but don't worry, we'll go to a good place at the end. But we actually will be consciously inviting one of those thought patterns that you know in your own mind is distracting you. One type of thought that you know when it's there, oh, it's really hard to remember you're divine and everything is divine. So I trust that everybody will find a thought like that. I will just recommend that when you choose a topic like that, you won't choose maybe the worst, most challenging topic of your whole life, because it might be a bit hard to do. You might want to choose something like annoying, kind of like, but not too bad, you know, make it a level 4 out of 10. And what we'll do is we'll explore, how can I be free, really free from those thoughts, stop to be afraid from them, actually how to become compassionate with them, and how to look at them until I see them being the movement of consciousness within itself, and how actually those thoughts themselves are pointers back to the true nature that I had just at that time forgotten I am. So what we'll be doing is we'll be inviting those thoughts, and because usually those thoughts are disturbing and very personal, we don't want to get into a discussion about it. We don't want to start to resolve them or get into an argument. So to do that, we need to create a very healthy relationship with them, and to actually realize that those thoughts are extremely impersonal, extremely communal. What I mean like that is that, you know, as a psychiatrist, I've met thousands of people sharing about their worst stories and secrets, and every story is absolutely unique. I've never met two stories that are the same. Everyone is absolutely unique. But the themes and the emotions and the thought patterns are very much communal, to the point that you can know what kind of thought pattern a person would be in. Because if our stories are all unique, the way we process them in the mind and the way we experience emotion is very much a human experience. So if I'm anxious because of that and that and that reason, you might not relate to that at all, but you would definitely relate to anxious. My anxiety is not mine, it's ours. My thoughts that says I'm not good enough, it's not my thoughts, it's ours. We have all of those patterns that we believe are mine because they're appearing in a context which is unique, are actually a very communal human experience. And in Tibetan Buddhism, in Buddhism in general, actually not in Tibetan Buddhism specifically, they speak of shared humanity. And it's a theme that speaks of this realization that none of what's happening within my mind is unique. It is all shared humanity. And when we remember that, when we connect to that, it stops first the tremendous sense of solitude that we have with our own psychological suffering, but also it allows us to take a different relationship and a different distance with those thought patterns. And this is exactly what we'll do in the meditation. We'll activate this theme that is annoying. And then first we'll remember how incredibly impersonal it is, how at this moment, thousands or maybe millions of people are experiencing that at this moment. And that allows us then, that freedom allows us then, that compassion actually, because when we realize that, oh, it's not my anxiety, it's ours, it's not my doubts, it's ours. When I realize that, suddenly this urge of care and love, because I don't want all of you guys to suffer like I do. It's enough if I'm anxious, but I don't want all of you to feel anxiety. I know how it feels to feel not good enough. I know how it feels how to have resentment. I know what jealousy is. I know what doubt is. I know all of that. And when we really activate that, we can only feel compassion. Oh my God, poor us. Let us get better. Let us wake up so that we can be free. So the impact of this shared humanity, the realization of impersonality is compassion. And that gives us the freedom and the courage to then stay with those thoughts, with those emotions in a way that we don't need to get rid of them. We don't need to solve them. We don't need to fix ourselves or to fix the world or do anything with it. We just leave them there. And from there, we go look in the back and go grab at those ancient, beautiful knowledge that says that Brahman alone is without a second. And we allow this knowledge to melt and expand and dissolve in those negative thoughts and emotions that we have. And so they're being transformed into a truth, into a unified understanding and experiencing of ourselves. So, is that clear enough? Yeah. So this practice actually that I'll invite you to join and do together. This practice is actually a Buddhist tantric practice from those non-dual Buddhist tradition, Tibetan Buddhist tradition like Dzogchen and Mahamudra, for those of you who are aware of those teachings. And they're basically extremely powerful practice because you in those practice, you go in a place of peace and then you go activate your worst angers, your worst jealousy, the worst emotions until you allow them to dissolve as in emptiness, which is a Buddhist concept, but you allow them to be seen as the movement of the natural state. And so we're not going to do it like what they're doing, first because I'm not a Buddhist Dzogchen teacher and because it has a different doorway, but why not get inspired and by that process? And we'll use a little bit of, which is a psychiatry process in psychotherapy, to actually choose a situation. So I'll let you do that now. Choose a type of thoughts or a context that happens to you, or something that when you activate it, it activates you, something that definitely gets your attention. So let's just take a couple of seconds to think of that. And I'm very sorry, I know it's the evening and I mean, not for everybody, but try to think and pick up something that you will activate. A type of thought that disturbs you or a situation, not too high intensity. Okay. Usually I ask people if they have something. So can you sum me up if you get something? So I know it's not too fast. Yes? Good. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So forget about that for now. Put it on the side and finding a sitting posture, sitting comfortably for meditation. So the most important for this practice is to be comfortable. Don't worry too much about having a perfect meditative posture if it's usually a challenge for you. Just getting comfortable and still. Just taking some time to settle in the posture. Connecting to the ground. Doing some small movements to align the spine. Let it be flexible, light, and expanding upward, like if somebody is gently pulling one or two of your hair, and that there is a sense of elevation. Relaxing the arms, the hands. Letting the face relax. Letting the eyes relax. Becoming aware of the breath, letting it free, gentle. Connecting with the quality of stillness and aware silence. Letting the mind subside, relax. And so from that place of stillness, we'll invite this disturbing thought or story and invite it so that it just activates a little bit, but this is not a time to analyze it, change it. Welcome it like a scientist, like, oh, okay, please come in. I want to look at you. And notice, is there any sensations in the body? Sometimes with disturbing thoughts or situations or images, they can be an emotion arising. An emotion would be an experience felt in the body. Is there some type of pressure or tension? Any type of perception in the body? Just noticing it, its location, its intensity. Its shape. And watching at the level of our mind, what are the type of thoughts? What do they say? That it's always the same. Just noticing. Not analyzing, not criticizing, not changing, observing. Now, is it possible to just remain still, completely welcoming with this experience and connecting now to the shared humanity? Now, the experience that you're having right now is connected to something that is very personal and very unique. But the taste, the flavor, the essence of it, how many people do you feel right now might be going through the same type of emotion or thoughts? Just in your city, in the city you're living in. probably hundreds or thousands even of brothers and sisters of humanity that are experiencing this type of darkness. If you were looking at the earth and seeing the whole earth at a distance, and if everybody who was experiencing the same type of thought, emotion, everybody, a little light would turn on, and you look at the earth at a distance, how much light is there on the earth right now? This is not your struggle. This is our struggle. This is not your suffering. This is ours. All of us. And feeling maybe the compassion arising. To the same degree that we hope that we will stop suffer, to that same degree we hope that all of us also will find peace. And taking a deep breath. Exhale. And now invite again consciously the theme of your struggle, either the thought or the image. Invite it again. But this time, invite it with the remembrance of that deepest truth that we are being taught. And that everything in this moment is the dance of the divine within itself. Can we look at our weaknesses, our dark spots, our hidden shames? Can we look at them with complete openness and courage and love and see them as the manifestation of truth right now? From that place, there is no fear about anything that could happen within us anymore. No part of ourselves to run away from. No part of ourselves that we believe is a contradiction or a limitation to the experience of God. And is it possible to become deeply disinterested, lovingly disinterested by any of those inner stories that we tell ourselves? Any of those things that the ego says it's so important and it's about me. Lovingly disinterested, there's no rejection, no hatred, no destroying of anything. Everything is welcome. All of the aspect of the personality, of the past traumas, the challenge, the struggles, the dark spots, everything is welcomed, but I'm not interested because it's just a distraction. And this is true renunciation. In the Bhagavad Gita, to renounce our thoughts and to renounce all the desires arising from thoughts that are the hallmark of a yogi. Taking a moment to rest now. Nothing to do. Just tasting yourself at that level of freedom. And taking a deep breath in. Exhale. And slowly starting to move toes, hands, body, and taking your time to stretch. So I hope you could experience those. We went through actually. It's a couple of different meditation practice that we kind of did in once. So for those of you who are long-term meditators, it was probably fine to do. But for those of you who are more beginners, maybe it was a little bit more work. But whatever the case, what we did is actually it's something that you can very easily, if one of those steps, either the step of being with the inner struggle and to be with it in a way which is completely unintimidated, like to welcome it completely and to notice thoughts, emotion, and to just remain completely still and welcoming. just to do that is an incredible step towards a free relationship towards our own mind. And then the next step, which is to connect to the impersonal and human experience of it all, which generates compassion. That in and of itself could be a practice. You know, each time you feel anger, or each time you feel pettiness, or each time you feel frustration, boof, you connect to the whole of humanity and sense that tremendous compassion for it all. And then the last stage, which is I believe the most incredibly beautiful, is to bring back in that, you know, at the place that, no, I don't want, you know, I don't want that part of myself. I don't want to speak of it. I don't want to think of it. I don't want to be there. And you go take that, and then you look at it until you see it blossom as actually a movement of the divine. And then what a reconciliation with everything, and what a beautiful expression of a non-dual understanding. Then there's no distraction, less distraction. I said I won't say no distraction, but there's so much less distraction. You know, when it's not so interesting, what, you know, your mind bring all those really important topics. Ooh, this is really important, and you're like, well, that's okay. We spend so much time dealing with our mind. It's crazy, and it's actually, I mean, a part of being painful. It's really boring, and there's so much beauty and incredible. I mean, incredible things to do and share and speak about, and why spend all this time, you know, with this inner tiny madness. And so this is actually so relevant now, because and I would call it's a divine responsibility, but I don't know if you're experiencing that. But at this time right now, when there's so much struggle and so much pain and so much doubt and so much suffering, and it seems the main topic when people meet is always to speak about the dark movement of this earth. It's really hard to speak of something else. It is actually what I believe to be a divine responsibility to be expressing something else very consciously. Like, may this place, this tiny little place here that we could call Dominique, you know, this kind of body mind, this little place, may this place be a place where there's a bit of light, and so that there is a bit of love that can be shared, a little bit of wisdom that can be shared. And this is a responsibility that we all have. It's very dark right now, but if each of us at every moment bring a little bit of light by an inner smile of wisdom, or a laughter in front of the beauty of it all, or a sense of awe, or anything, then you know, enough of those little light, it does lit up a room. If a room is dark, you just need one match and it's not dark anymore. You don't need a big fire. So this is where it starts. It starts with a greater sense of freedom and love within our own mind, so that then the peace we discover inside is shared, because everything is contagious, not the COVID-19. Peace is very much contagious. Love is very much contagious. Awe and gratitude, we love that. So the more we all express it, the more it will spread. And I think this is a very, very good contagion. And there's no vaccine for it, because we actually want it. So I think I'll stop here, because that's the time. And thank you very much for a beautiful experience together. I really enjoyed seeing all your faces here. And again, the opportunity, Amrita Swamiji, for participating tonight. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you so much, Dominique. And actually, I want to thank you on behalf of everybody who's listening to you. I am seeing so many chat messages coming up saying what a beautiful meditation. So there's many, on behalf of many people who are expressing their gratefulness to you. Thank you so much for a very, very beautiful meditation and talk. Hari Om Tat
Thank
Sat.
you.
Om Om. And we'll see you all tomorrow. This latest one is Hari Om. This was amazing. Thank you. So many nice things coming up. Thank you.